Yes, he is short stacked, but still the greatest player there is. Phil Ivey taking his seat as the last day 2 session is about to begin. The dream for any poker player is to make the main event final table. Phil Ivey did it last year. This time he has visions of more.
Hopefully some things will go right. Make another run at it. This time finish the job.
Ooh. Jeff Shulman made a second trip to the final table, but his reverie was cut short.
I'm going to do everything I can to do better than I did last year.
And then there's Dan Harrington, who's found himself at the final table an incredible 4 times. So who could say a 5th trip is just fantasy?
I think it's possible now for me to win. I have a chance.
The dreamers are out there, and for 9 of them, the final table will become a reality. But first, they must survive day 2. Welcome to the Rio and the World Series of Poker presented by Jack Link's Beef Jerky. I'm Lon McCarran with Norman Chad. The excitement is palpable around here.
Better than Christmas morning.
As the second day 2 session's about to get underway.
Ready to go. I know you guys want to see it. Yeah, I brought the book.
An eclectic group of celebs and top poker pros are back and ready for action. 4 main event champions will play today, including Texas Dolly himself. Joining Phil Ivey are 4 other members of last year's November 9, including Darvin Moon, who's hoping for another magical run, as is short-stack Tweedone, who has her work cut out for her. At table 2, Phil Locke is taking his seat, while over at the feature table sits the 95 main event champ Dan Harrington, alongside last year's 5th place finisher Jeff Shulman.
And if you're looking for some advice on how to thrive at the main event, you've come to the right place. These fellas have danced the dance.
What was the most you had at the final table last year? You were like, what, 4th or something in chips? Oh, wow. That's pretty good. Where did you end up, 7th, was it? 5th. Yeah, still was good for about 2.5, 3 million, right? 2? Oh, sorry.
Dan's won a little over $3 million at his 4 final tables.
When I grow up, I want to be like you.
Oh, if I had $1 every time I heard someone say that to me, Lon, woo!
Norman, more players in action today than any other day of the main event, a whopping 2,734. Blinds at 2 and 400. Action on Jeff Shulman on the Jack Link's Beef Jerky pocket cam. He looks down at Pocket Jacks.
He doesn't look it, but his nickname is Happy. His brother had difficulty pronouncing Jeffrey as a kid. Haffrey became Happy.
1,100 is the raise from Happy, who was coached before last year's final table by Phil Hellmuth.
I hope he coached him on poker skills and not people skills.
All right, I should fold it around to Chris Emaluth in the cutoff seat. Ace-6 of spades.
Emaluth, a veteran of the Iraq War and a student at Western Connecticut State University.
And he makes the call. Over to Dan Harrington in the big blind. Queen 10 off.
He sarcastically nicknamed himself Action Dan because others assume he's tight. Everyone thinks he's a rock. That allows him to bluff more than we'll ever know.
700 more. He makes the call. So the Pocket Jacks of Jeff Shulman and 2 hangers on go to the flop. The flop is 9-8-7, something for everyone. Shulman's jack still best and picks up a gut shot. Emaluth now favored with the nut flush draw and up and down straight draw. Harrington also with an up and down straight draw. He checks.
Jeff Shulman attended the University of Washington. Otherwise, he wouldn't be wearing that ridiculous purple hat.
Jeff bets 1,200.
Good flop for Jeff to try and pick up the pot, but I think everyone likes that flop.
Yeah, Emaluth comes along. Now Harrington.
I'm sorry, did I say Jeff's the one with the ridiculous baseball cap? Dan's one of the most recognizable people in poker because of that green Red Sox cap.
So all 3 will see the turn card. All 3 still with a chance to win this hand. The turn card is a 6, and Harrington hits his 10 high straight. Look what happened to the Pocket Jacks.
As usual.
Harrington comes out with 4,000. Shulman now. He lays them down.
A disciplined fold from Jeff Shulman. Emaluth is pretty much priced in here to chase his flush. He's a 3-to-1 dog, getting 3-to-1 on a call.
And he will see the river, and that's why a spade on the river. Emaluth hits his flush. Harrington now checks.
Dan is wary of that river spade.
Emaluth with just $3,000, a baby bet.
Yeah, tiny value bet, just begging to get paid off.
Too small for Dan to ignore. I think he already knows what Chris has.
Yeah, Dan's nod tells you he knew it before he saw it.
So Emmeluth got a little value on the river, and he takes down Dan Harrington. Dan did all he could, but Emmeluth hung around and caught his card. Dan knows you can't win them all, but you don't lose them all either. The champ will be back. Well, Norman, to get through this mammoth field, we had 4 day 1 sessions, and now we begin our second day 2. But thankfully, the Groundhog Days of the main event are nearly over, and we are tantalizingly close to finally having a field that is all under one roof.
Oh, sure, Lon. After today, you'll start pumping everyone up about big stacks and making the money in final table dreams. But I'm happy right here. We've got Jeff Schulman, who made his second main event final table last year, and Dan Harrington, who's done it 4 times. That's right, 6 final tables between them, and now they're playing here at the same table. What did Kramer used to say on Seinfeld? Giddy up!
Well, let's get out in the field and find Seinfeld's Jason Alexander. He's all in with jacks.
I signed your hat, you owe me.
Shannon Anderson with Pocket Kings has Jason's ticket out of here.
Jason needs a jack.
The river is a deuce, and Jason Alexander has been knocked out. You know, if George Costanza played poker, I can see him picking up pocket jacks on every hand. I'm sure we'll see Jason again next year. Over to a real-life poker character, Darvin Moon, who just rivered trip aces against Michael Oakes and his measly 2-pair.
You know, Darvin actually looks out of place out on the field. These days, he just looks like he should be under the bright lights of the feature table.
Darvin bets $2,200. And Oakes comes along, and Darvin shows him the goods.
By the way, Darvin Moon says he has not played much poker since finishing second in last year's main event.
Darvin doing pretty well here on day 2 with over 83,000 chips. All right, over in the pavilion room, last year's 7th place finisher Phil Ivey just put all his chips in the middle with pocket queens. Yuji Masaki has pocket kings and a bit smaller chip stack.
This fella graduated from Kyoto Pharmaceutical University. A pharmacist is going to cripple my man?
Masaki calls all in, so Phil Ivey risking nearly his entire chip stack.
Oh my goodness, Phil Ivey is in deep trouble here.
The ever-present Humphreys need to muster some mojo for their man.
The Humphreys? How about me, Lon? I'm more worried than they are.
All right, the flop is 8-8 Trey. Masaki with kings up now.
Phil's going to be down to less than 5 big blinds after he loses his hand.
The turn card now. Oh, there's the queen for Ivey. Masaki 1 card from the rail.
Oh, Ivey gets lucky, and now he'll have more than 100 big blinds. He just needs to dodge a king.
The river card. Oh, no! Masaki spikes the winner.
4 top 25 main event finishes in the last 8 years, but Phil Ivey now is crippled.
Masaki with the better of the 2 full houses, and the Humphreys can't believe it.
They're not even going to need a chair today.
Oh, my.
Can we at least check if this guy's got a valid passport? I'm more devastated than Phil is.
Don't go nowhere. Stick around for the kill. Make sure you're right there.
You've heard about a chip in a chair? Phil Ivey will test that theory. Back at the Rio, the Phil Ivey watch in effect as the fat lady is warming up. It's somber out there and in here.
I'm verklempt.
Let's check in with another Phil, Mr. Phil Locke at table 2.
If we must.
Phil Locke in a pot right now on the river against Andre Vinogradsky, a pro from Lithuania. Andre has the best hand with Jackson 7's action on Locke.
Locke, second in the pot limit Hold'em event in 2005, in which Johnny Chan won his 10th bracelet.
Locke checks the river. Vinogradsky now puts 4,200 together.
I feel like you have 7-9. It's so sick. But I feel like I have to call anyways.
No, you don't.
Because you might not have a 7, right? All right.
Locke makes the call.
Phil's going to be disappointed.
Vinogradsky with the best hand.
I guess Phil called there figuring they both just had an ace and would split the pot with 2 pair on the board.
The 25-year-old takes the pot. He's over 31,000.
And that is poker. That's why we love to play.
I love to play Lon because I like giving my money to strangers.
Phil Locke has lost about 10,000 so far on this day 2. Back to the featured table and Dan Harrington.
You're probably right.
Dan, it's only day 2.
The day is young, Dan.
That's the problem. And most of my opponents are young, too.
We're halfway.
It's not as young as you think.
Harrington may be 3 times the age of many of the up-and-comers, but it's his books they've read to improve their games.
Every day, people come up to me and say, I love your book. Yes, I did write a book to teach people how to beat me or to play better against me. What I was trying to do in my books was teach how to think like a poker player when you have to think about a problem. As the recipe for the new book now is how to counter. The advantage I had over the other people who wrote books was they didn't know how to present the information. I just stole every single idea from chess, and everyone called it genius ideas.
We have one of the greatest players of all time. Action, Dan Harrington.
I like to swap places with all the 20-year-olds I play against. They have so many great tools on the internet that we do not have access to. What we have is a lifetime of experience. If you want to know what the hand is, give me $5. If you want the truth, pay me $10. I've been to the main event final table 4 times. I won the world championship in '95, but I think I'll be remembered for the books.
Next to Johnny Chan's consecutive first, second finishes, I still consider Dan's back-to-back main event final tables against a large field in '03 and a massive one in '04 to be the greatest feat in World Series history.
Action here at the feature table on Tibor Hegedus from Hungary. Ace-King offsuit. He raises to 1,050.
Dan Harrington's first main event final table in 1987 when he finished 6th was the year Johnny Chan won his first championship.
Dan almost did not enter the '95 main event because he had won a bracelet hours earlier and he was exhausted. He's glad he did. Jeff Shulman with 10-9 of hearts in the big blind.
When Harrington made that final table in '87, that was his first main event ever. Jeff Shulman did the same thing in 2000, making the final table at his first main event.
Jeff calls the flop. Queen, Trey, Queen, 2 hearts. Hegedus with his Ace-King is still best. Shulman checks.
Jeff, you're going to catch flies.
Jeff favored with the flush draw.
Seriously, you're going to catch flies.
Check to the turn. Ace of hearts. That's a nasty card. Shulman with the flush. Hegedus turns aces up. Jeff bets 1,000.
You were right about that ace. Nasty for Hegedus.
1,000 to call, and that's what the Hungarian does. River card now. Hegedus, the long shot. 4 of spades. Shulman and his flush get the check mark. Jeff with 1,500.
Shulman value bets it, and Hegedus has to call.
He does indeed, and Shulman shows the winning flush.
He's happy. Happy could use a shave.
And Happy could use a few more chips here on day 2. Still just with 19,000.
How many years did you play the main, Dan?
About 21. Pretty good.
Talking with 22-year-old Jed Friedman.
About?
I don't know the exact number, actually.
I'll take 21. You can have the others.
21 main events, 4 final tables, and 1 championship. Anyone would take those numbers.
And as remarkable as those numbers are, how about Doyle Brunson? 5 final tables, 2 championships in the main event. Doyle in a hand right now with Stéphane Blouin out in the field. 2 pair on the board. Doyle reaching for chips. He bets 4,200. And he gets a fold, and Doyle will take the pot.
Texas Dolly, 6 bracelets in the 1970s, none in the 80s when he barely played, 2 in the 90s, 2 in the 2000s, 10 total.
We'd love to see him make a run here.
Didn't get me that time.
Doyle's going to have to pick up some more chips to make a run here today. Brunson, one of the players who shaved his head in support of pro Thuy Doan in her battle against cancer. Thuy has moved all in pre-flop.
Thuy diagnosed with cancer last year, soft tissue sarcoma in her left leg. Chemotherapy wasn't shrinking the tumor, so the leg was removed to save her life. The cancer is not expected to return.
4,500.
Yeah, just 4,500. Thuy started day 2 with just 5,000. That is Francois Beauchemin. And he will make the call to put Doan at risk here. Doan shows pocket 5s. Beauchemin turns over pocket 10s.
I'll get you a 10. Okay.
Beauchemin, a Canadian math teacher, 39 years old.
So here's the flop. Thuy Doan at risk. The flop is Queen 6-6. No help to Thuy Doan.
Yeah, for Thuy now, her only out will be a 5 on the Turner River.
Turn card is a jack.
Thuy looking for a 5.
The river card. 9 of diamonds, and Beauchemin wins it with a flush.
Go, guys.
Good, thank you.
So Thuy Doan, 359th at last year's main event, out on day 2 here in 2010.
Tweedone says her goodbyes.
All right, good game, guys.
We wish her well with her poker career as Francois Beauchemin stacks the last of her chips.
Well, that was a short day.
Each player comes to the main event dreaming of a win, but Tweedone gets to walk away knowing her victory was simply being here to play.
World Series of Poker, presented by Jack Link's Beef Jerky. Main event.
Back inside the pavilion room here at the Rio, we're still keeping a close eye on Phil Ivey, who still has a chip in a chair.
Frankly, I don't think he should get to sit in a chair until he gets more chips.
Back in the Amazon room, another November Niner has run his pocket jacks into trouble. Darvin Moon going up against Nicholas Poloniato with his kings.
It's bad news everywhere.
Turn card now is the 9 of clubs. Darvin's been known to catch on the river.
Darvin needs a river jack to knock off Poloniato.
The river card is an 8, and Poloniato will double up through last year's runner-up.
First, a Japanese pharmacist cripples my main man, Phil Ivey, and now some French pretty boy doubles up on my other main man, Darvin Moon. What's the main event coming to?
Darvin still with some chips to play with, over 61,000. There is the newly redesigned main event bracelet, a beautiful thing to be awarded on November 9th to this year's champion. Back to the featured table, Jeff Shulman, Dan Harrington, side by side.
So last time you made the final table, I don't know if you remember, but you busted me out.
I did?
Yeah, I moved in with 10s, and you fought for like a solid 5 minutes before you put it like 60 bets. And I was like, sweet.
What did I have?
What do you think you had?
Usuals. Yeah. I was trying to suck someone else in.
I know.
Yeah. That's what it was, yeah. It wasn't you, it was someone else. Oh, that's right. Now I remember that, yeah.
I just leaned over you. I was like,
yeah.
I like your hand.
Shulman found out the hard way. When Dan gives action, you're usually beat.
Action on. Kyle Ray, 24-year-old poker pro from Georgia. He made a World Series final table this year and last. He's got ace-queen.
Both times he made the final tables in limit hold'em events.
A raise to 1,000.
Only 3 players have made the main event final table twice in the last decade. Mike Matisow, Dan Harrington, and Jeff Shulman.
Harrington folds. Shulman, oh geez, pocket jacks again.
The thing about Action Dan and Happy, they don't play a lot of tournaments, Lon, but when they do, watch out.
Shulman called for 800. Tibor Hegedus in the big blind. Queen 10 of diamonds.
In the big blind with some really nice headphones.
Hegedus announces a re-raise. He'll test the staying power of the other two. 3,500.
He gets aggressive.
So now back to Ray. Ray lays down.
Nothing good ever comes from ace-queen. I like that fold.
Talk about ace-queen. How about Shulman? He called a raise, and now a re-raise with the pocket jacks.
By the way, I am way overdue for a get rid of the headphones rant.
Queen 4 jack, and look at that. Jeff flops a set. Hegedus with top pair. Shulman checks.
And you see, the ace-queen would have had top pair, top kicker, and been dead.
All in.
Hegedus barely got his bet in before Shulman raised all in.
Hegedus's chips hadn't settled on the felt yet before Shulman said all in.
So Hegedus needs 78.50 to call and put Jeff at risk.
Okay, cool.
And he does indeed do that.
And it's an easy double up in progress for Jeff Shulman.
So Hegedus needs help and quick.
Put a 9 and let us sweat a little bit.
Come on, no sweat. Just a jack.
Just a sweat one time.
Turn card now is a 6, and that will end it as Hegedus drawing dead. Jeff Shulman doubles up.
And just like last year, Jeff Shulman's not getting involved in any big pots early in the main event unless he thinks he has way the best of it.
So Shulman with a bit of breathing room right now, over 37,000. But here on day 2, those all could be gone in just one hand. All right, let's get back to Phil Ivey as he has put his last 1,400 chips at risk, and he's up against 2 others.
This is not good.
Scott Einiger is in the hand, as is Kevin Hayes. 8-5 tray on the board. The Humphreys and Norman are on edge.
The great Phil Ivey in danger of being shown the door.
A king on the turn. Hayes checked it. Einiger signals he's got a real hand, bet 7,000. Hayes has the chips and makes the call.
For Phil Ivey, when you're all in and you see a bet and a call, it is grim.
The river card is a 5 of clubs. Hayes content to check it. Einiger not so quick. He says all in.
When you see someone else go all in, it's really grim.
Hayes would be all in if he calls. But he folds, so Einiger against Ivy. Einiger shows pocket eights for a full house, and Ivy?
Oh, and Phil knows it's over.
Two pair no good as Scott Einiger knocks out the 8-time bracelet winner.
What are they going to do the rest of the day? What am I going to do the rest of the day?
What will Phil do the rest of the day?
The best in the game is gone.
There will be no return to the November 9, and the rest of the field can breathe easy. Phil Ivey is no longer a threat at the main event.
Dad and I had an amazing 2009. I made the final table of the championship here.
Say hello to the November 9.
He won the World Series of Poker Europe final event.
Barry Shulman is the World Series of Poker Europe champion.
Will it happen again? I'm not sure, but we will always be smiling about it.
Barry has advanced to day 3 with 159,000 chips. Jeff trying to match him step for step and make 2010 another year of the Shulmans. Norman, I know you're still mourning the loss of Phil, but you got to suck it up because it's time for the Jack Link's Beef Jerky wildcard hand.
Well, as for Phil Ivey, I don't know if it's a lack of focus or a lack of commitment, but it's a lack of something. I might have to reevaluate. This is like Roger Federer losing in the second round at Wimbledon. It's unacceptable.
Jeff Shulman has the wildcard hand from under the gun. He calls for 500.
Under the gun, I'll put Shulman on a small pocket pair, trays or fours.
Emmeluth with Queen Jack offsuit. He limps.
It could be a parade of limpers now.
Kyle Ray with King 5. Not usually worthy of a raise, so I'm anticipating a limp, and yes, that's what he does. Over to the small blind, Mark Church, Jack 6 of hearts.
I don't know who this guy is, Lon, but he's still in the main event and Phil Ivey isn't. It makes no sense to me.
Church calls for 250 more. Dan Harrington in the big blind, Ace 8 of diamonds.
I have great respect for Action Dan, but with that goofy cap and that goofy shirt, how come he's still here and Phil Ivey's driving home to play 2,000, 4,000 PLO online?
We have 5-way Jack Links action. The flop now is 9-4-8. Dan Harrington picked up a pair of 8s.
This guy missed the flop.
Ray did miss just with King 5.
He missed the flop.
Emmeluth has a gut shot.
He missed the flop.
Church, you're right, did miss. He is first to act.
Jeff Shulman might have hit the flop.
So Church checks. Harrington checks as well.
Everybody's checking. It's like a bingo game. They're just waiting for the next number to be called out.
Shulman did check. Now on Emmeluth, he bets 2,000.
Can't blame him for trying to put us out of our misery.
So Ray folds. Church lays down. Harrington with middle pair makes the call.
I don't think Emmeluth was looking for a customer.
Shulman?
Well, he certainly didn't want 2 customers.
No. Jeff making a statement. That's 7,000.
I thought he had pocket trays or 4s. He's got pocket 4s. I would bet your life on it, Lon.
I'm a dead man. Emmeluth now. He folds to Harrington with a pair of 8s.
Action's on Dan, huh?
I don't think Dan wants this action.
Jack 10 of clubs.
You?
Yeah, Jeff might have check raised with that type of hand, a big draw.
That's what you do it with. Or a pair of 4s.
Bingo.
What about pair 9s?
I think he had a 9.
Aces? Went under the gun?
No, not you wouldn't have played it that way. I gotta throw it away.
Harrington folds. Let's see what Jeff Shulman had. Bingo! Pocket 4s!
Okay, I can put Jeff Shulman on his exact hand and Phil Ivey can't survive day 2. It's a world gone mad.
It is a world gone mad. You got the Jack Link's Beef Jerky hand right.
It was pretty obvious what I had.
Obvious schmobvious. It took me 33 years of losing poker to finally nail somebody's hand.
Over 7,300 entered the main event, building a prize pool of almost 69 million. More than 5,000 men and women survived day 1. And 1 dog? What the what? On the left, the dog is Ted Bort, squaring off with bracelet winner Prahlad Friedman.
If he's going to bark, he ought to be on a leash.
Bort, an amateur player from Rockland, California, bets 10,000.
Good. Prahlad won a bracelet in 2003.
What the pros have to put up with. Friedman makes the call. Turn card is a 5.
It's on me.
Bort is the CEO of Allied Network Solutions, and a big bet, 25,000.
Yeah, get the hell out of my pot.
Prahlad calls for 25,000.
Can't believe you're pulling it.
And this is quite a pot, almost 83,000. A deuce of clubs on the river.
I'm all in.
Bort bets Prahlad all in.
Come on.
Prahlad's got over 77,000.
All in on table 75. Did Ted Port just call out his own all in?
He did indeed.
Prahlad would be the one all in if he calls.
I'll take the call.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'll take the call. I'm dead serious. Look at mine.
You got all hands beat?
I'm dead
All
serious.
hands.
I'll take the call.
You can beat all hands.
Port seems cocksure, or it's a great bluff.
I got you beat.
You got the nuts?
You would have already called. You ain't got it.
No, I got the nuts.
Big pot, and Prahlad still has 130 big blinds left.
Maybe you just got a pair of jacks.
Prahlad had 3-bet pre-flop, so maybe he's got a big pair.
Maybe you just got a pair of jacks.
What do you want me to tell you to make you feel better about laying it down? What do you need to see from me? What do you need to see?
Oh, jeez. Do they sell muzzles in the gift shop?
So you kick the dog out.
I got a large holding.
Hey, I tell you what. I'm going to call time on it. I'm calling time on it.
Port called the clock on Prahlad. He's got 1 minute to make a decision.
Huh? Let me help you out. I'll call time.
Port and Prahlad make an odd couple.
I'm going to tell you right now that I'm a genuine person.
Yeah.
Am I? Am I a genuine person?
Okay.
I told you that I would say one thing, that I'd want some of your chips, not all of them. 30 seconds. Here's your second chance. I'm telling you to lay down. I'm telling you. Dead serious. Look at my eyes. You want to see me shake?
So if I fall, you're going to show me.
You damn right I'll show you. You know why? Because I want this table to know when I mean it, I mean it. I respect this play.
How much time I got?
You have 10 seconds. 9, 8, 7.
The nuts?
If Prahlad doesn't act before the countdown is over, his hand will be dead.
3, 2, 1.
I call.
Dead.
Prahlad called.
Oh, my God.
It was a dead hand.
But the floorman says the clock ran out. And that means no call from Prahlad. Port wins the pot.
Prahlad saw the two pair. He releases his hand. No protest from Prahlad. He knows he was beat. I think he should be out of here.
He said, call 1 second ago. We got it on camera.
The dealer now has mucked Prahlad's hand.
I counted that.
Prahlad in the eye of the storm again. Remember in 06, the storm when Prahlad accused Jeff Lissandro of not putting in an ante.
Chicago poker pro Mike Mustafa.
You beat anyway, right?
What the hell's wrong with this poor guy?
He said I beat him, so it's over. Sit your butt down, let's
No,
play.
he should be out. Get another floor guy over here.
What do you mean he should be out?
I want a floor
I think
guy over
Prahlad should be
He
gone.
called the hand. He should be out of this tournament. Get us another floor man. Charlie, come on up.
It's mayhem in the pavilion room. We'll try to clear this up when we come back to the 2010 main event.
World Series of Poker, presented by Jack Link's Beef Jerky. Main event.
Back inside the Rio, the controversy continues at Prahlad Friedman's table.
You said call. Your guy was counting and he didn't listen.
And as you might expect, quite a crowd has gathered around this table to see how this drama will play out.
This is Prahlad Gate 2. First the antes, now the clock.
And then he said,
Now a floor supervisor has come over.
he said 3.
Lucky for us, we can take a look at the replay.
8,
Take a good look and listen.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
I call.
Dead.
And Norman, it sounded like he beat the 0.
What a break for Prahlad. He should be gone.
We all agree.
If the guy wanted to make the decision, he could have did it in 5 seconds. He gave him the 0. It's a dead hand.
You're allowed every second of the clock. It sounded like Prahlad made the call on time. Of course, we have the benefit of replay, but I think tournament officials had that wrong.
So the storm clouds pass for Prahlad, and he'll carry on. All right, we move elsewhere to pick up Steve Sanders in action on the river. You'll recall when Sanders was eliminated by Dennis Phillips last year, he went right to the hospital for life-saving surgery. Bob Law is also in the hand.
Yes, Sanders had a double aneurysm. If he had stayed playing poker, the aneurysm might have ruptured, and he could have died.
Sanders bets 7,000 on the river now to Law, who finished 91st in last year's main event, and Law lays it down. So Sanders will take that pot, and right now he sits with just about the starting stack, but this is day 2, Steve. You better get moving. Still 4 past main event champions alive in today's field. They would love to get another main event bracelet, including Dan Harrington back at the featured table, who just flopped a pair of 5s against Juho Launinen, a Finnish student. Launinen flopped the nut flush draw.
Launinen is studying social sciences at the University of Lapland in Finland. I believe they are the Rambling Wreck.
After Harrington checked, Launinen bet $3,000.
Action Dan practiced bankruptcy law for 10 years, stopped because he didn't enjoy it.
Now Dan just tries to make people go broke. To the turn. 10 of spades. Harrington still leads with his pair of 5s. And he checks again.
This is the first live tournament Launinen has ever played.
And on the draw, he'll see a free river card. It is a 7 of hearts, and Launinen hits his nut flush.
Boy, Action Dan on the wrong end of a rivered flush for the second time today.
And Dan checks again. Over to Launinen. Has to reach for chips now. And he bets $8,000.
Harrington can't like it.
That's into a 9,700 chip pot. And Harrington folds. Launinen takes the chips.
And Dan's wondering why all the young, good-looking ones keep stacking his chips.
And those numbers tell us that Action Dan is playing a lot less aggressively than the rest of this table. All right, let's get back over to table 2 and Phil Locke.
Phil played 115 straight hours of poker earlier this year. New world record.
Action on John Corsi, self-employed custom home builder in Michigan. Ace King offsuit.
He also owns a winery.
From under the gun, Corsi raises it up to $12.50 to Locke now. Locke with a suited ace.
See, I don't have to play this hand. If I fold, I'll always have the stack. But this is the gamble we take when we come to Vegas.
Phil working the room.
He makes the call. Next in line, Hans-Joachim Hein from Germany with pocket 8s.
Hein finished 202nd in last year's main event.
And he makes the call. Gary Dolinga, small blind, ace deuce of diamonds.
The 65-year-old amateur won a World Series circuit event in 2005.
He calls.
If I had to give my guess, boys, he's played well by raising, and we've all played well by calling. Maybe not perfectly so, but now hopefully we can all play well on the flop.
Boy, his analysis is worse than mine.
4 players, Hines pocket 8s in the lead. The flop is Jack 7-10, 2 clubs. Hines pocket 8s, the best hand right now. Action on Dolinga, and he checks. Corsi now with a Broadway draw. He checks to Phil. Phil?
I'm going to check.
Okay. Hein checks as well.
I don't know if everyone played well there by checking.
Hein turns a set with that 8. 4 cards to a straight on board. Dolinga checks. Corsi also. Locke says enough checking. 42.50.
Phil takes an ill-timed stab at the pot.
Hein called with his 3/8. Dolinga lays down. Corsi peeks and folds.
So Phil's got it down to himself and the 19-1 favorite.
Locke can only hope to chop it. River card, Queen of Hearts. Hein with the check mark.
I don't know. I just can't see myself betting here. I can't do it. I check.
Check's good.
I have ace high.
I have 8s.
It's good.
Locke actually has a pair of 7s, and Hein actually has a set of 8s.
3 8s.
3 8s, Phil. 2 8s would have beat you, but 3 8s is in the books.
I can't. You know, I knew I...
Give it up, Phil.
He doesn't want to muck that loser.
Phil gives up a few chips.
Take them.
Maybe I call. I don't know.
I'm just so focused on not going broke because it's just so brutal when you go broke in the World Series of Poker in the final event. That means there's no more hands. You have to go home.
Not everyone has Jennifer Tilly waiting for them, but you know what Phil means. It's the biggest pressure cooker in the poker universe. It's the main event. At the Rio in the second day 2 session of the main event with Phil Ivey gone. Only 4 members of the November 9 remain. One of them, Darvin Moon, is all in on a flop of 6-6 tray against Aaron Ford.
Ford's a Wall Street derivatives professional, whatever that is.
Darvin's wife, Wendy, looking on carefully as Ford can put her man at risk.
I got a fold.
Ford lays it down and shows pocket queens.
Darvin not enjoying the smooth ride he had last year to the final table, but he's hanging tough.
Yeah, I guess Darvin picked the right time to shove there.
I've been getting pushed around and crushed all day.
Darvin moving in reverse. He's got to turn things around across the room. Barry Greenstein trying to push around one of the brothers, Mizrachi. This one is Michael's twin, Eric.
How many Mizrachis are there?
There are 4, and they're all still in the main event. Mizrachi bet, Greenstein check raised, and Eric folds.
Sam Barry.
Thank you.
What do you have, Joe? What do you have?
I don't want to make you feel bad, honestly.
In the background, you hear Barry's son, Joe Seabach. He had a great run last year, but did not make it past day 1 this year.
And Barry hasn't cashed in the main event since 2003.
As we mentioned, all 4 Mizrachi brothers are still in it, including Donnie, who is not a poker pro, but rather a magician. He folds there, but still has a decent amount of chips back to Prahlad Friedman, who has survived by the skin of his teeth and lays that hand down.
You know how you can make it up? Here's an idea. You pay for my roll to give me a free roll now. You know what I mean? You should say, here's 10 grand. That call.
What a deal.
Now, Prahlad Friedman, no stranger to hearing a countdown. He currently holds a record that has nothing to do with poker or rapping, but a lot to do with beating the clock.
Here we go. Basketball is a huge passion of mine. I'd seen on the internet that Steve Nash makes 21 free throws in 1 minute with 1 ball and 1 rebound. And he says, I guarantee you, like, no one can beat me. I said, I can beat that.
Seconds. 10 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2.
My second try, I made 23 free throws in 1 minute.
23.
Oh! Yes!
I'm not going to say I'm a better shooter than Steve Nash, but I think I can hang with him. Steve Nash, you're a great guy. I want to challenge you to a free throw competition. Hit me up.
Prahlad is a man for all seasons. He's won a bracelet, he's made a rap video, he's broken a basketball record, and he's been involved in 2 of the biggest main event controversies ever.
Back to the feature table, both Dan Harrington and Jeff Shulman trying to navigate the intricate maze that is the main event. Let's take a look at the tail of the tape brought to you by the official WSOP game. Play now on Facebook. As you see by the VPIP, Jeff Shulman is more active than Dan, and he is far more aggressive.
And as the numbers show, it's paying off for Jeff Shulman. He's built his chip stack nicely, while Harrington, snug and passive, is about even for the day.
After starting this day with only about 13,000, Jeff just happy to still be in it.
How long has card player been around?
20 years. Gonna be 21 now.
21 years? I've heard some marriages last that long.
Action begins on Shulman. Under the gun, he looks down at 10-5 of diamonds, and he'll fold to Tibor Hegedus with King 10 off.
Under the gun +1.
The Hungarian with a raise to 1,400.
Aggressive from that early position.
Kyle Ray with pocket 4s.
Well, if Ray doesn't respect the early position raiser, he would repop him right here.
On the button, he just calls. Folded over to Dan Harrington on the big blind with pocket 9s.
Action Dan also could 3-bet it here, try to take it down or get heads up. But I don't even believe he's read Harrington on Hold'em.
Dan just with the call.
Well, Chad on Hold'em disagrees with everything he's seen up to this point in this hand.
2 pocket pairs and Hegedus with a King 10. We'll see a flop. 9, deuce 7. Harrington flops a set of 9s.
Well, maybe he does know what he's doing.
And he'll slow play top set.
Dan expecting action behind him.
And he gets it from Hegedus, 3,200.
Hegedus with the continuation bet.
Ray folds his 4s.
Harrington might just smooth call here. At least that's what my book says to do.
Harrington with the raise. Hegedus re-raises. That would put Dan all in.
Call.
Dan does call all in with the set.
Well, Hegedus is all in, Bob Uecker might say, just a bit outside. That's the easiest all-in call Dan Harrington will have this week, maybe this year.
Harrington in terrific position to win a big pot.
Well, Hegedus on Hold'em told Tibor to pressure the smaller stack. Not a good time.
Harrington catches a hand.
Good read, Dan. I was questioning if you'd make the call on top set.
Yeah.
You know, middle set.
Sometimes you have to make a stand.
Shulman needling Harrington, and Harrington wraps it up as Hegedus drawing dead now.
Hegedus bluff shoves, And he's left with next to nothing.
Yeah, Hegadu's left with one big blind. Dan Harrington may not be flashy, but he sure knows how to get your chips into his stack. Back at the Rio, let's get over to table 2. Phil Locke holding Jack 8 of spades. We'll see a flop with Andre Vinogradsky and his weak ace, and Hans Joachim Hein holding ace deuce of clubs. All right, let's go to the flop now. It is 6-4 queen. All spades. Locke flops the flush. Hein first to act. He's drawing dead and wisely checks. Vinogradsky with a pair of fours.
He is studying economics at Vilnius University in Lithuania.
He bets 3,500. Locke now with a raise to 85. Action on Hein. His ace deuce into the muck. Vinogradsky now. He lays down, and Locke will take it.
Boy, that was painless. Just bet your flush. Simple stuff from a complex mind.
I had a fan. I mean, thanks, guys. They're not making it easy over here, let me tell you that.
They never do, Phil, and he knows well, having never cashed in the main event. All right, let's get back to our feature table. The blinds at 3 and 600 with a 75 chip ante. Dan Harrington up on the day.
You guys all look so serious.
Think about it. 8 point something million.
Got a long way till that, though.
I mean, you know, you're set for the rest of your life if you win.
Couple years at least.
Even after taxes. You could just put it in municipal bonds. Yeah. You earn about 4.5% tax free.
I don't think Dan's taking into consideration price to earnings, residual equity.
All right, action on Kyle Ray, who finished third in the $10,000 limit Hold'em World Championship at this year's World Series. Queen Jack of Hearts on the Jack Link's beef jerky pocket cam.
I love beef jerky.
1,800.
But I don't love the headphones.
1,800 is the raise to Harrington. Ace tray off, suit, and the big blind.
You don't see Action Dan wearing headphones, do you? Dan loves seeing other players with the headsets. He thinks they miss little stuff at the table. You always want to be gathering information. That's what Action Dan does.
And Dan will test Ray with a re-raise to 6,600.
Harrington great at backgammon, chess, poker. Plus, he considers the stock market and real estate to essentially be games as well, and he's good at them too.
So with the suited Queen Jack, Ray makes the call for 4,800 more, and we'll go heads up with the 95 world champ. And the flop is trade Jack. What a flop again for Dan. Trip trays. And the icing on the cake is that Ray hit his Jack. Harrington, first to act, comes out with 6,000.
Ray in a bad spot here. He's not going to put Action Dan on a 3.
Ray said he learned to play poker by reading just about every poker book out there. I assume he's read Harrington on Hold'em. And he's got chips in hand and makes the call.
I've read Harrington on Hold'em, and frankly, I didn't like the ending.
All right. It's a 9 of hearts on the turn. No help to Ray. Harrington very much in control. Dan continues to fire 17,000.
Harrington bet just less than half of the pot on the flop. Now he bets about 2/3 of the pot.
And Ray matching him every step of the way.
But Ray pretty uneasy with that call. And I'm sure Action Dan right now feels pretty comfortable.
It is an 8 of spades. Harrington with the check mark.
I'm all in.
And Dan moves all in.
Right, and when the headset comes off, it's never a good sign, Lon.
That might be too late.
Can you count it?
I think it's about 33,000 plus tax and tip.
It is. Ray has Dan covered by just about 20,000. Can Dan Harrington double up again?
If Ray can get away from this, he'll still have more than 30 big blinds left.
He does fold, and Harrington takes another nice pot.
Action day.
He's got almost 94,000.
Everyone forgets I wrote the book.
Well, in poker, one hand can change the stats. Whatever style Dan's playing, eventually it works.
Back into the field, another fairy tale run for Darvin Moon seems unlikely. He pushed all in with a pair of 9s on a flop of 4-9 deuce all clubs. He's trailing David Hanani's pocket aces.
Well, not an easy call for the 54-year-old amateur with the pocket aces. Darvin could have hit a flush or a set on the flop.
Hanani's got the chips in hand.
I call.
And he makes the call. So Darvin Moon staring at elimination.
Yeah, Darvin Moon's day now looking dim, all in and well behind.
Moon turns over his top pair, but Hanani with the aces, a 4-1 advantage. A king of clubs, there's a flush draw on board.
Well, Darvin would certainly take a flush to chop the pot. He needs a 10, 9, or a club to stick around.
The river is a 5 of diamonds, and that will do it. That brings an end to the main event for Darvin Moon.
Very good. No, don't be sorry. I'm so far off my game.
No repeat performance from the wondrous logger. I miss Darvin already.
David Hanani brings Moon back to earth with the Day 2 knockout blow.
At least the pressure's off, honey.
As last year's second-place finisher makes his way to the exit, yet another final table vet is making his way to the featured table. Two-time bracelet winner Josh Aurier is taking his seat with Dan Harrington and Jeff Schulman. 3 players who have each been to the final table, and now their goal is the same as everyone else: survive and advance. For Norman Chat, I'm Lon McCarran. Day 2 continues from the World Series of Poker.